So where I want to start is Forza Motorsport 2's vision. From the highest level, and what I've always wanted for this franchise, is to bring people together. We are a simulator, but to me the simulation supports that goal. That goal is to get people that love cars, that maybe aren't so dexterous with their hands and don't play a lot of games, to learn, how to be a part of a gaming community. And get people that love games, love racing sims, or just love games in general, and teach them about cars and get them involved in a racing community. So again, it's to be this really inclusive community. To do that, we have to send out a lot of hooks. So the hooks are, we've got 300 cars. Includes things like the Honda Integra Type R, as well as Ferrari Enzo. We've got Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, the McLaren F1. We've got purpose-built race cars like the Audi R8. We've got VWs. We've got everything. And those 300 cars means there's always a car you're into. So if you're into American muscle cars and you just love the Plymouth, the Hemi Cuda, it's there for you. And if you think that car is God, there it is. And if your favorite is something more JDM, like the Honda Integra, we have that too. Now once you've actually selected a car, like again the Honda Integra, it doesn't just end there, because since we're a simulator, the truth is some cars are better than others. That's just the way it is. They're faster on the track. So we've put in a car classification system. This car classification system is kind of a mini game in and of itself. Right now it's up at A680. And 680 is a linear number between 100 and 999. And as you go through different thresholds, you'll go from Class D to Class C to Class B to Class A to Class S. Now this little number is kind of, as I said, a game in and of itself, because you can kind of play around with it, make it go higher or lower, decide if you want it to do it in power, or do you want to get your bonus in weight reduction or tires or what have you. And again, what this is doing is teaching people. I don't really believe in tutorials. I don't think that people learn a lot from tutorials, but I want them to learn about cars. So instead we give them a little game, they can go in and they can kind of play around and tinker and upgrade things, and meanwhile learn a lot about cars. All right. One of the big hits in version 1 were engine swaps. Now, we have over 50% more upgrades now than we did in the last one. And the last one had a lot of upgrades. Now we've just got a lot more. So you can really micromanage this number and get to the top of your class. These engine swaps were a huge hit in version 1, and for version 2 we've added drivetrain swaps. So now I can not only put in this H22A drivetrain into this car, which is a fairly common Honda engine. I think it was used in the Prelude, some other cars. I can also go to an all-wheel drive drivetrain. Now this means as I upgrade this car and say I get it into Class S and it's racing against really fast supercars, it's still front-wheel drive. And that puts you at a huge disadvantage if you're laying down 600 horsepower, 700 horsepower, but you're all front-wheel drive with skinny little front tires. So by going to an all-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive drivetrain, you can now make that car that you love have legs. It can race against Enzos. It can race against these other cars. Now all this is based on real simulation. So those drivetrain swaps, they're based on what we believe to be plausible. Most of them have been done by people. Others were saying, we think people could do it, but nobody's invested the money in it, because really, who's going to do a drivetrain swap in a Volvo? No offense to Volvo, great company. But it doesn't have a huge tuner scene. It's not a really big mod community. Whereas a car like this, we kind of know what people do because they do it. Okay, I'm slowing down. I got to keep moving fast if we're going to get people playing this. So, other bit, once you're in the car, you've got this car you love, you can put body kits on it. This is just like in version 1. We've got licensed body kits. You can put them all over the car, mix and match. We've got hundreds more body kits than we did in the last one. The other thing we've added is these Forza branded body kits, which are all race inspired. So you see this like this front splitter that's going to give you more downforce, and it's adjustable, so you have adjustable downforce. We've added that to all the cars. So now you can put that on a Ferrari, you can put that on a Lamborghini. What that gives you is adjustable downforce on these cars. And again, gives those cars legs so they can really compete at the top of their class. Last little bit on customization. So you love your Integra, you got it upgraded to the top of your class. You've probably learned a lot about cars in the process. The big thing is you don't want your Integra to look like everybody else's. So if you mix and match body kits, it's going to look somewhat different. But if you go into this paint and decal editor, you can do tremendous things to your car. Let me actually hop in a car that's already been, through the magic of Martha Stewart. Let me pull one out of the oven that's magically done. Okay. This is painted by one of the guys back at the office. So in version 1, we had 400 to 600 layers you could put on your car. Now we have 4,000 layers you can put on your car. Now I don't need those myself, because I don't put the Mona Lisa on my car. I don't do some realistic picture of Master Chief. I don't make Lord of the Rings. But as Forza 1 proved, a lot of people do. People do these incredible works of art in the car, and they were maxing out their 100 layers they had on one side. So we gave them 1,000 each side. That's why it's 4,000 total. Again, this system, if you're not familiar with Forza 1, it's a layer-based system. I can do whatever I want to these things. Move them, spin them, skew them. I can change the transparency, can blend them together. We've now got text. We have way more layers than we did before, a whole bunch of gradients. This tool has just been blown out. It has got more power than we ever had before. The other cool thing about it is you can select multiple groups. This is another thing you couldn't do in the first one. Oops. All right. So for example, I've now selected 2, but I could select the entire row. Now once I've selected those 2, I can move them as a group. I can also save them as a group, which means I can reapply them to any car. So I could take a 1,000 layer group that makes Homer Simpson, and I could save them out as the Homer Simpson group, and then apply them to every car. And then I can take the car and sell it on the auction house, which is what backs all this up. Once you've become a true artist in Forza Motorsport, we're going to reward you for it. So we're not just rewarding great racers. That's what we're known for, and we're always going to reward great racers because we're a simulator. But on top of it, we reward great painters, great upgraders, great tuners, because they can go in, make a great car, build it out, and put it on the auction house for in-game credits where it can be bought out or downloaded. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to like World of Warcraft. It's the same sort of auction house. People should be fairly familiar with it, especially if they play games. We also have a photo mode in the game, and this gets into our seamless integration between the game and the community website. So here's the photo mode in the pristine UI, but also you can pull this up in-game at any time. Take a picture of the car on the track. When you take a picture, it gets uploaded to forzamotorsport.net. You can then download it to your PC or do whatever you want with it. So the pictures are totally shareable without using any weird PC cable stuff. You just upload it and use an internet connection. All right, that was slower than I was hoping, but let me go on the track real quick. Oops. So this Integra is the one I had before that's upgraded. You're going to hear a difference. We've done a lot to actually model the VTEC in the engine, the way it performs, the way the car performs, and as I upgraded it, the VTEC was being upgraded as well and really changing how the car performs. It really changes how the car sounds. So you're going to notice this car is not going to sound very stock. So the track I'm going to is Sebring. Sebring's one of our new tracks. We've got Sebring in the United States. We've got Mugello in Italy, as well as Suzuka in Japan. And I'm just in test drive here, so I can kind of roam around as I like. Now the reason I like Sebring so much is you can see all these seams in the road. I'm getting rumble as I'm driving over these. These are mismatched pieces of concrete, and as you drive over them, they kind of bounce the car around. Now that wouldn't be possible if we ran our frame rate or ran our physics at say 60 frames per second. We run several of our systems in the physics up at 360 frames per second, which allows us to get incredible fidelity in the physics, in the tires, and the suspension, and the way the body moves. So as I'm driving over these bumps, you can hear the car go over the top of them. You can also feel it. And since we run our graphics at 60 frames per second, you can see it. Uh-oh. Now one thing is, I have this thing, I didn't mean to hit that wall, but I have this set to simulation damage. So this may cut short the ability to drive on the track. So again, you can see it bumping around. May as well check it out. Let's see what's the damage. Yeah, that was a fairly light hit. As you can see, it damaged the car. This again gets down to us being a simulator. We've worked really hard with our licensors to have a great relationship with them. And there's a big myth in the industry that you can't do damage on these licensed cars, and that's crap. We've been doing it for 10 years. Midtown Madness, I mean, the Rally Sport games, you've seen it in GTR. It's a crazy myth because there's about 50 games out there that do it. But all of the Microsoft games, they've all featured damage on the cars in one fashion or another. Ours is probably the most extreme damage you can do on licensed cars, production cars like these. But even so, the writing's on the wall. Everyone should know you can do damage in games. For Forza Motorsport 2, we've sort of taken it to the next level. That bumper's pretty tough. I think I've got my car too fast for its own good. Can't keep the tires from there we go. All right, we're gonna try doing this sideways. Yeah, the problem is the car's too fast. All right, there's gotta be another area where I can drill. The problem is the car won't drive straight right now because the steering's damaged. Oh, what do we have here? Now I've really damaged the engine. All right, I think I've done enough abuse to this car. I've proven I'm not as good at damaging this as I thought I was. So you see the bumper fell off, windows broke out, this front bumper can fall off, wing, mirrors. The car just kind of gets destroyed. Along with that, you can see there's a lot of damage happening on the car. At any point during the game when you're racing, test driving, anytime like that, you can actually pull up data on the car. So you can see this is the friction. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of power anymore, so you're not seeing a lot happen there. You can see the suspension travel. You can hear the car kind of struggling too. It's not really psyched about this. Body acceleration, tires. This is heat and wear on the tires. The heat's kind of an interesting system because as you actually heat up the outside of your tires, it's going to heat up the inner core. We track all of that, and the core will increase its pressure. The pressure increases the heat. It's a big a positive feedback loop. So it's always just changing itself. You see the front tires are more heated because I was doing all those burnouts in a front wheel drive car, and damage. So suspension damage, brake damage, I've got engine damage, downforce front and rear, steering, transmission. I mean, this car's kind of done. All right. Well, that was everything I was hoping to cover.